Hello everybody, I am Live Overdrive and this is the beginning of my Let's Play of Betrayal at Krondor. This is one of my oldest favorite games. It was originally released in 1992 by Sierra Online, made by Dynamics, published by Sierra Online. Was released a year later on CD in 1993, and that is the version that we're playing here. The original version I played would have been around 1997, 1998 or something when they released the original disc release, floppy disk release. They released for free to promote their later spiritual sequel, Betrayal in Antara. And both my brother and I played that game extensively, and the Betrayal at Krondor, that is. And eventually beat it together, and by together I mean me watching him, but that's what we younger siblings do. But it's been my favorite game since, or one of my favorite games since, and never had the chance to replay it. And I've been watching a Let's Play by effing Controller, and I've been playing a little bit here and there, and I decided, heck, why not? Let's just jump in and do a Let's Play. So this is not going to be blind. This is not. I know how this goes. I've read the books, most of them. I think I read everything written before like 2010-ish. So everything that was written by the time this game came out. So I know most of that lore, a little rusty on it. I know some of how the game works. We will be cheesing a few game systems just so that we can get to as much content as we want, and because I like my characters being overpowered, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you think so too, because if you're looking for a blind Let's Play, this is not the one. I know everything that's going to happen here for the most part. But if you want to just watch someone play a game they used to love and still do, then by all means, stick around. With that, let's begin. Start a new game. Chapter 1. Into a Dark Night. Blood-soaked rags collected at the boy's feet. One by one, he tended the wincing soldier's purple wounds, stitched, salved, bandaged, did what little he could in the leaping golden halo of firelight. Fortunately for his roadside patient, he could do more than most. Fingers slick with alum ointment, he worked fervently to tie off a catgut cord, then brushed the injury with a light touch that to the untrained eye would seem only a friendly pat. Others would recognize the telltale hand gesture as a magical word against infection. Done, Owen sighed, wiping his hand in a rust-colored cloth. No guarantees, though. The stitches may hold all the way to Lamut, and then again push too hard and you could be bleeding like a stuck pig on Midsummers. You did fine, Senior Locklear replied, smiling approval, before rolling down his sleeve. It'll scar, but it's good for a noble's reputation. Lets the kingdom folk know he isn't resting on his laurels, and it impresses the ladies. Ha ha! I'll be sure to look you up in Tyburn if I ever need stitching up again. The boy accepted the compliments with a humble nod while he packaged away the rest of his medical supplies. His thoughts focused instead on a third man who slumped in the shadows across from them. Despite the manacles that bound the stranger's hand and the distance that separated them, the boy felt dreadfully exposed, his avenues of escape limited, should Locklear's elven-looking prisoner decide to liberate himself. What did he do? Owen whispered, jerking his head toward the man. Goreth? Let's just say that he had the disadvantage of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, Locklear said, cautiously. He snatched a green apple out of his knapsack, offering one to Owen. I had to take him to Krondor. Did he kill someone? Owen asked. No. He attacked you. The senior wiped apple juice from his mouth, shook his head. No, not exactly. Well, who cut you up then? But before Locklear could reply, Goreth leapt forward, his chains writhing between his wrists like metallic vipers. Get out from underfoot, Owen! Assassin in the camp! That assassin in the camp line has stuck with me through all these years for whatever reason. That one just sticks out. Probably the great art. Do not struggle so, Hayseth. I wish to keep you alive. But be glad I do not. The goddess of death will show you greater mercy. chilling. I feel like it's maybe not conveyed totally there, but basically, well, you all saw what happened. No, they caught an assassin, and Goroth had to strangle/stab him. Unclear. Wonderful. So this is the start of the game. We got our 3D 1992 quality 3D window on top with all of our mouse-driven controls. Of course, everything is keyboard-driven as well. Games at the time tended to have all of your controls on the screen. Glorious. These are all of our characters that we've just met. This is Locklear, and we can learn a little bit more about him. Son of the Baron of Land's End, Locklear has achieved great notoriety while serving Arutha Condoin, Prince of Krondor. Decorated for his service at the Battle of Armengar and Sethanon during the war known as the Great Rising, he is one of the most honored nobles at the court of Krondor, and in many aspects is considered an unofficial member of the royal family. In the 9th year of the reign of King Liam I, Locklear entered the service of a northern kingdom garrison to investigate reports of a conflict raging in the Northlands. Shortly after his arrival, his military escort was attacked by Moradel raiders, and Locklear found himself cut off from his companions. Later, upon seeing someone fleeing a Moradel warrior, Locklear slew the aggressor, only to discover that the man he had saved was in fact a Moradel himself, Goroth of the Ardanian clan. So there you go. We learned how Locklear came into possession of Garth as a prisoner. Locklear is the only of these three characters who is featured in the books that predated this game, the Rift War saga. He was a boy in most of those. Of course, all of Raymond E. Feist's books cover quite a lot of time, actually. So a lot of characters are like born and die of old age over the course of it. But this was he was a boy in a lot of the books, and now he's a grown man. I want to say he's probably 30 something in this, he's kind of a soldier, noble, swashbuckling type of guy, probably more soldier style. And then we've got Garth, who we were just talking about. We can learn more about him. Although he is an eligible claimant to the Moradel throne in Sar-Sagoth, Goroth has never desired to meddle in the politics of the Northlands, but often has little choice. He has been notably vocal in his criticism of the leadership of Delacan, a Moradel who distinguished himself during the Great Rising as one of Mermondamus's field generals, and later claimed the throne of Sar-Sagoth for his own. Goroth himself has led an impressive military career, and during the Rift War he directed one of the only Moradel defenses to successfully withstand Sirani aggression. As he beat back invaders, thousands of Moradel escaped their homes in the Greenheart Forest to the safety offered by the Northlands. Only starvation and superior Sirani numbers eventually drove Goroth and his tribe of the Ardanian to flee across the Great Northern Mountains to their waiting cousins. So I don't remember a lot of that. The Rift War itself, though, is so called because basically humans from another world, find out later is another planet, called Calawan, they had very, very powerful mages, and they figured out a way to open a teleportation rift between their world and where we are, which is Midcamia, I call it Midcamia, and the Kingdom of the Isles, and they attempted to invade the kingdom, and that's Locklear was involved in that. Other characters that we'll meet over the course of this game were involved in that. Basically, this was, I think at this point, was probably like 15 years prior to this game, something like that. So the country obviously has been influenced a lot because it was a total war. They were being invaded by the Sirani, who they're kind of in world are kind of modeled off of, I don't think any particular East Asian culture, but I think generally like China, Japan, Korea, that type of I think it's pretty generic. I don't know if it's intended to be based off one particular country, but whereas the Kingdom of the Isles is your stock like European fantasy nation, and there's another nation to the south called Kesh that is based more on the Middle East, and then there's another nation over the sea based on India. And then finally we have Owen, best character. More often than not, or Owen Bellaforte. Bellaforte? Belafort. Has been a political embarrassment to his father, the Count of Tyburn. As a result, he has been given a degree of freedom even his elder brothers are envious of, though his father hopes he will one day settle down enough to become a marriageable suitor for the daughter of the Duke of Ypres. Like Michigan? I don't know. Far craftier than he is often given credit for, Owen has a keen eye for detail and can often see patterns invisible to those around him. All his life, Owen has dreamed of studying magic and on many occasions has set elaborate plots in motion to spend time with masters of the arcane crafts. He undertook his most notable endeavor when he was only 14 and vacationing in the city of Iran. Having spent the previous summer needling the household staff about his father's accounts, Owen discovered a means of redirecting a portion of his father's wealth and managed to hire a magical tutor for nearly 7 months. Finally, his father detected his activities and recalled him home to Tyburn. Thereafter, the Bellaforte household staff was ordered to strict silence when in Master Owen's presence. That's got to take an emotional, social toll on somebody. Anyway, Owen is the young one here. He's like 19. And, well, I guess we'll go from there. We've got look around us here. We're in a clearing and some mountains, trees around us. I gotta love these graphics. So you can see the triangles here. So there are actual like polygons being rendered on screen, but then there's these details which are just 2D sprites, and they do the Doom thing where they rotate to face you as you walk around them. But you wouldn't even really notice because it's not smooth motion. It's steps forward and backward, almost like it's not on a grid or anything, but it almost feels more like a classic roguelike, like Rogue or Adom or NetHack or something, where you're in a lockstep. Anyway, there's a body here, so this kind of works like a point-and-click adventure. You just kind of click on things you want to interact with in the screen up here. And then we have our tools down here. This is just to rest and recover and sleep, which uses rations. And then we've got our magic. There's 6 schools of magic in here in this game. I don't know if they have names, but they do have symbols. And these are the 2 that are out of combat, and there's 4 more that are available in combat. So we have 2 spells, only 1 spell, I guess, that we can use out of combat, and that is called Scent of Sereg. And it says the caster can sense trapped chests. That'll come in useful later. If we try and open a chest, we can use that to first check if it's trapped so that we don't hurt ourselves trying to open it. But I digress. The rest of these, we have a map. This is actually a very handy view. We can kind of see the local area, and then we can also see the world map. This is the middle of the Kingdom of the Isles. It stretches further to the east and a little bit further to the west, actually. And most of the first books take place kind of further west here, and then also down in here. Krondor, the city that the game is named after, is kind of the capital of the western half of the country, which is basically what we're looking at here. It's the main capital, I believe, is called Rillanon, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's further to the east, and that's not in this game. I mean, it exists, but it's not. We can't go there. And that's more like the older part of the country, and this is the west, which is the newer, more recently settled part of the country. So it's a little bit more rugged and less refined, which is a great place to set a story. Cool. All right. It's been staring at us for a long time. Let's go ahead and click on this corpse on the ground. This is Hayseth, the guy that Gorath just killed. Thinking only made it worse. Setting aside his reservations about pilfering the fallen, he decided he would take what the goddess of luck had given him, however immoral he might feel about it. He was certain his stomach would quickly assuage his guilt if he found a bit of food to eat. Not sure if I'm pronouncing assuage, I don't know, his guilt. Oh, I guess I took too long. Anyway, yeah, we got some items. This is rations. Laying the brown parcel aside, Locklear carefully undid the short length of string that bound the package. Although standard rations generally contained salted sweetmeats, hard rolls, sliced apples, and strawberry tarts, he was eager to get at whatever food was inside. That actually... that sounds pretty good. I could go for a hard roll or a strawberry tart right now. Yeah, these are rations. Every time you rest overnight, I think at midnight, it consumes one of these per person. And if you run out, you start starving to death. So these are really important to have. Oops, I'm not able to... oh, okay. I was using the wrong mouse button. We're going to do share with party. Very, very useful button. And these are lockpicks. Which, per his name, we're going to give to Locklear. Reaching into the velvet pouch, Owen withdrew a sterling silver lock-picking tool. He studied it carefully, marveling at the unmatched precision of its craftsmanship. Yeah, they're lockpicks, or picklocks, they call them. Apparently, this was one of the first games, I think, to feature lockpicking. Don't quote me on that, but I recently read that in a review, because, of course, I was reading reviews of a 31-year-old game that I love, just to do some confirmation bias and convince myself that it's a great game. Anyway, we're going to give this to Locklear. We can see... if we go into our inventory, we can see what he's carrying. He's got a sword, no bow, some... low percentage, that's the like health basically of the item, pretty low. We got some picklocks, we got some food. Owen has a lot more food than the others. Let's see, 7 and 6. Owen has 13. So we can do, if I give 3 to Gorith, is my quick maths correct? No, I don't think so. 10, 9, 7. Yeah, okay. So we give 1. All right. Now we're even. Good. They consume them at the same rate, so we want to keep them balanced. These are restoratives, health potion. To be used sparingly. They're not overly effective, and they're not overly common to find either. Owen's got no armor, but he's got a quarterstaff, and we love him for it. Healing herbs, they make you heal faster. Torch does torch stuff, lights things up. Cool. Everybody on the same page? I'm glad. Let's say we leave this valley and start walking forward. There's something over here. Let's check it out. We got a fire pit. The ashes were cold. Wiping the grime off his hands, Locklear shook his head. Someone or something obviously set up camp here, but it's hard to say just when. Lovely. I'm guessing this fire is going to be the same thing. Yep. And then we got what appears to be a chest. Locklear gritted his teeth. While they had agreed the box should be opened, he was privately concerned the previous user might have left behind an unpleasant surprise. Talking about a trap. What do we got? 62 silver pieces, otherwise known as 6 gold and 2 silver. Exchange rate is 10 silver royals, that's the 5R, to 1 gold sovereign. S doesn't mean silver, it means gold. It's, yeah. Sovereigns and royals. Alright. Nice little find. Let's follow this path. You can see a little icon appear. Oh. Gorith seemed distant. Though the Moradel warrior didn't appear grieved about killing the assassin that had followed them from the Northlands. His eyes had a baleful look in them that seemed something between hatred and rage. Several times he glanced back at the corpse that lay behind them in the dust, his thoughts unguessable from his expression. Do you wish to bury him? We could do that. It is not our way. I simply am somewhat disturbed that he should come after me at all. He was a kinsman. There are other things that trouble me as well. Delicon's assistants are slow, but they're not altogether stupid. Another like Haseth, and you'll only have my corpse to drag before your Prince Arutha. Sorry, you don't get off that easy. As long as you are under my command, you are forbidden to die, Moradel. I've gone too far, too much trouble keeping you alive to bury you now. It's time that we took those chains off of you. It'll be far easier for you to defend yourself if your hands are free to swing a sword again. You're not just gonna set him free, are you? I thought you said he was your prisoner. He is my prisoner, Owen, but the circumstances are terribly complicated. Even if he chose to sneak off, he'd be lucky to make it to the next town alive. This is the third such assassin we've run into since we left the Northlands, and I have a feeling more will be waiting for us. He will be much safer with me, and I with him. As the boy would be if he were to whisper the wrong word in the wrong ear. He could easily be the death of us. Me? Who am I going to talk to? I'm not even heading in the same direction. Effing Controller in his playthrough of this, which is 10 years old now, pointed out that Owen gives off strong, like Luke Skywalker in A New Hope vibes, and I dig it, so that's my A New Hope Luke. Wouldn't be a matter of who you talk to, Owen. There will be ears listening for a word of a Mordell traveling with a noble. Damnation, I should have thought of this when you entered camp. For the time being, you're my squire. Once we arrive safely at the palace, you'll be free to go your own way. But I have pressing business in Tyburn. This is not a subject of debate. We must get to Krondor. My mission is of critical importance, and I don't have time to improvise an easy solution. The only other possible option would be to slit your throat and leave you dying. I have absolutely no desire to do that. Now let's get moving before Delicon's assassins catch our scent again. They'll likely come looking when Haseth doesn't return from his mission. So Owen has been drafted into the service of Senior James, and the party sitting around the RPG table has just completed their meet in the tavern backstory to get the band together and go off adventuring. Wonderful. Well, let's see if we can get to the road now without any more interruptions. Yay! We've made it to the main road. We can go south or we can go north, and let's take a look with my hotkey F. Alright, so we're trying to get down to Krondor. That is clear halfway across the map. And there's a couple paths we could take. We basically could take this coastal road down through Lamut, Zun, Zun, Quester's View, Sarth. Or we could hook up north here to Yabon, Tirsug, and down through L'Oreal, Hawks Hollow, Eggly, Tanners, or connect up here. We got a lot of options, and to be honest, so I've done this playthrough, this first chapter recently, and because I don't want to leave any stone unturned in terms of getting experience and things like that, because this game gets tough as it goes. So the combat can be really tough. So I want my guys to be buffed up as much as I can. So we're going to cover all of this territory. We'll probably take the coastal road down and then turn around and come back up this way. And maybe swing around up here, but probably not, before we actually take care of business in Krondor. But for story's sake, we're going to go straight to Krondor first, and see what happens there. But I don't want to miss any combats, because these guys need experience if they're gonna face the challenges ahead. At least that's how I'm framing it. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna head south, and we're gonna keep an eye off the path, because sometimes there's goodies hidden in these trees, chests and things. I know there's one somewhere around here that has a couple of really nice spells for the beginning of the game, but last time I played this, someone was calling. Recognizing I should finish my thought here without getting distracted. Last time I played, I could not find it. No matter, I went up and down this road, and I could not find that chest and get those spells, so it was a bummer. Anyway, someone was calling. Recognizing the lilt of the young voice, Owen turned and looked back down the road. A young squire that he had met at a party in Yabon was trudging behind him, a pack full of scrolls slung over his shoulder. The squire waved congenially at Owen, and Owen echoed the motion. "What do you think you're doing? We're trying to remain unnoticed." "Damn," Locklear muttered under his breath. "Try to behave as normally as possible. Since you know him, you handle him, Owen, and remember, Gorth's name is Thorgath," Owen finished, irritated. "I'm not a child, you know," Locklear whispered. "That remains to be seen." I didn't expect to see you so soon. I would have thought you were all the way to Lamut by now. Squire Philip says, would have been if the Duchess hadn't insisted on introducing me to all her daughters. Amelia was the prettiest, I believe, though I think Catherine took quite a liking to you. Catherine took a liking to everyone at the party. She's as fickle as her mother. She'll likely marry a Krondor if she can find one not tied in the marital knot. Krondor is the royal family. True enough. Say, I thought you said you were from Tyburn. Why are you taking this route home? Kind of a long way around, isn't it? Well, yeah, but I had to meet up with my Uncle Locklear here, and my other friend here is an elf, Thorgath. They decided it would be nice for me to take a tour with them down to Hawks Hollow. Down to Hawks Hollow. I hear it's lovely at this time of year. What are you up to? I'm looking to cash in a reward, actually. When I was on my way up to Yavin last month, I found a chest in this area, but I couldn't pick the lock on the thing. I figured it wasn't meant to be and left off. Thing is, all through Duchess's party, I couldn't help but think about it. I had chest on the brain. I don't really care what's in it, but I have to pick that lock. I'm gonna ask about the nearest town. I'm afraid my senses of direction and distance are a bit off right now. We all had a bit to drink last night and we're still trying to shake off the effects. Which way is the nearest place we could get cleaned up? It must have been quite a bender if you're that confused. Head straight south along the main road and that'll take you into Lamut. If you're looking for good food, the Blue Wheel has a solid wager, though I warn you that their Serrani food can be a bit spicy. Inns. I, for one, could do with a little less sleeping on the ground. Any good inns you can recommend? There's the Blue Wheel Inn in Lamut that I just mentioned. Or you might try the Dusty Dwarf in Hawks Hollow. I suppose if you really got desperate, you could try breaking into one of the abandoned houses out in that part of the country, but I can't sleep well in a house that may fall on top of me. Of course, it may well be that the people moved out for good reasons. I've heard that several people south of L'Oreal moved after a contagion began spreading through there. Empty houses? Was anything left behind in any of the abandoned houses you saw? Nothing of real value. Bits of food and a few cupboards. An occasional gold piece kept beneath the foundation of the house. Lost items mainly. The majority of the places I visited had those unpickable locks. What are they called? Weber locks, yeah. They had the Weber locks installed, so I wasn't able to get inside. Lost items. I'm not certain, but I think I might have mislaid a very valuable belonging of mine. I shouldn't worry about it. Depending on where you lost it, the chances are good it'll still be there. We're getting a little game mechanic exposition here. In a rather, is it diegetic or diegetic? Whatever, in story way of presenting. He's basically telling us if we drop something on the ground, we can come back later, it'll still be there, it's not going to go away, which is nice. And I think it persists between chapters. I originally thought that it didn't, but I believe it actually does, which is cool. And then he's telling us, about empty houses. If we search buildings, we might find stuff. That's cool. All right, bye, Squire Philip. And then, it looks like there's a chest up here, and I wonder if this is the one that he was talking about. Let's take a look. If it is, he's not very observant if he can't find it standing 10 feet behind him. All right, I'm gonna make a quick bookmark here. The box's lid refused to budge. It appears to be locked, Goroth said. Should we try to open it? No, we're not going to do that right now because it could be trapped. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our spell list here, cast Scent of Sereg. Owen muttered the incantation, knowing that the effects would be invisible to all but himself. Owen explained as he finished the spell. Until it wears off, I'll be able to sense whether a chest has been trapped. All right. Owen stared at the chest. With great concentration, he closed his eyes and pictured the chest in his mind. Studied the wooden grain and metallic bands until the image seemed to come closer and closer, until he was not only seeing the chest, he was seeing inside the chest. I believe it's safe, he said at last. Shall we attempt to open it? Yes, we shall. So we can either use a key, and keys are, it's not like one key, one lock in this game. It's like there's different classes of key, and certain types of lock can be opened by that key. There are a couple of lock specific keys too, but for now all we have is the peasant's key. Which is so small it seemed he could snap it between his fingers. The peasant's key was made of a tarnished copper, its color giving away its simple origin. The rough flashing that remained around the edges of the key further suggested the key had been only one of several hundred keys made. There you go, they're alluding to what I just said. And then we got picklocks, which we found on Hayseth, and we're going to try that first. But before we do that, we're going to pop over into Locklear's skills, and we're going to mark these ones as red. Defense, accuracy, melee, and lockpick. What that means is that he's focusing on those, and you can do up to 3. Well, you can do you can do as many as you want, but apparently if you do more than 3, it basically stops working. So if you do 3, it means that these ones will increase faster. So we want to focus him on defense, accuracy, melee, and lockpicking for the time being. We're also going to want to get his weapon craft and armor craft up, but we'll worry about that later. Owen is going to want to focus on defense, accuracy, casting, and I believe I want him on, well, we'll move this one around, but for now I'm going to put it on barding. And then Gareth, I want defense, accuracy, melee, and stealth. Actually, he is, I believe, is our best stealther. Yes, and I want him to get better at that. That makes it easier to sneak up on enemies, which is cool. Not like your modern like Elder Scrolls and stuff games where you go into, crouch stealth mode and try and approach undetected, but it lets you place ambushes, which is helpful. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's pick this lock. Hey, we got it. The lock was simple. As the old saying goes, locks are for children and fools, Locklear said. After a few seconds, he flipped the picklocks into the air and caught them again. I am no fool. What a smooth badass. It's so cheesy, but I just love it. All right. So we got some good armor. Better than what we have anyway, especially Owen, who is currently wearing nothing. So we're going to give that to Owen. And he probably needs it most because he's real squishy as a caster. So we're going to give him the best armor from now, although probably we'll end up with Locklear wearing the best stuff later. And this is a shell, which is just shades. It's just a sellable item. It doesn't do anything on its own. Shades of blue and alabaster chased one another around the surface of the spiral shell, winding tighter and tighter until the colors became indistinguishable blur toward the center. While shells were not entirely unique, they were sometimes collected and sold by poor peasants. So yeah, it's a sellable item, though it's nothing special. That's what that's basically telling us. Cool. Go ahead and bookmark. And actually, we're going to go ahead and drop our first official save. You can see my old ones here. We're going to go ahead and make a new folder. Let's play. And I'm going to call it Chapter 1. And I just want to see if that works, because I've never actually made a new directory before. Yeah! Nice. That's very cool. Alright. Most of the time, though, I'm just going to use this bookmark, which is the equivalent of like a quick save, which is nice. Alright, so time only passes in this game when you actually are moving. I can spin around as much as I want or interact with the scenery as much as I want. Well, okay, interacting with items like reading a book or something will pass time as well. All right, let's go back to the road, shall we? See if there's something over here. Nope. All right. All right, we're heading south. That's what we want. Let's take a look at our map. Yeah, so we're gonna see Lamut on the right. That's our next goal, and we'll just kind of keep an eye out for chests and things, because I want those damn scrolls. Walking through the forest like some kind of I don't know, explorer, scout, something. All right, looks like we didn't miss anything. And there is a road that turns right here. I'm not sure if that's Lamut. It is Lamut. All right. Well, it's actually just about evening, so let's see if we can get into town and maybe stay at an inn there. Although if our health is doing okay, our health is doing just fine. You have, okay, this is important. Your health is split into 2 health bars. You have health and stamina. Stamina, I mean, well, they're pretty self-explanatory, but both stamina gets injured first, and then once that's down to lowest, then your health starts to get injured. Stamina recovers a lot faster than health, and when you lose stamina, when you start to lose health, your performance goes down. Your stats get reduced. When you lose stamina, nothing happens. You can sleep on the road, but your stamina can only get up to, like, I don't know, 75% of maximum or something. If you sleep at an actual inn, like in a bed, then you can go up to 100. So it is worth it to sleep in an inn when you can, if you're hurt, which these guys really aren't. Owen is down 5 hit points for some reason, but that's not enough for me to spend some of our precious gold sleeping in an inn. But we will go into Lamut. The path turned. Locklear studied the road before them, saw it slithering into the distance like a giant snake before descending, eventually into a large town. Lamut, Gorth said. Do you think we should go in for supplies? Yes. Here's Lamut. Beautiful little town. And we've got a shop. We got an inn. Is that the same shop? Yes. And then we've got this enter. I think, yeah, a little spyglass. There's usually one of these on every one of these screens. Oh, I'm sorry. In many ways, the town looked something created on an alcoholic binge. Rude dwarven shacks smashed up against delicate elven shops, while weird Serrani taverns, that's rude, weird Serrani taverns grew from a press of kingdom-style dwellings. A sign outside the city gate had summed it up well. All who visit Lamut are equal, for in Lamut, all is equally queer. That's actually kind of cute. I like that. Let's check this out. Hey, gold. Nice. Actually, it's like a half of what we already have. Cool. All right, so let's check out enter here. The garrison. All right. The garrison was impressive. Sitting high on a hill overlooking Lamut, the military outpost had been constructed years earlier to head off a possible Moradel assault on the western border of the kingdom. They followed a road that snaked through the town and up the rocky hill upon which the garrison sat. After speaking with the sentries at the gate, they were under the fortress's massive iron portcullis, which I only recently learned was pronounced portcullis and not portcullis, which is what I had been saying for most of my life. Captain Belford stood as they entered the room. It's good to see you once again, Locklear, he said, extending his hand. I share that sentiment. What news have you? How is Earl Kasumi? Locklear asked when the men shook hands. They sat in hard-wooden chairs as Belford replied, He's well, but he's off taking care of some business with a few new guards come through the rift from Kellowan. As for the rest of us, we're looking for a group of grey warriors from Kellowan who slipped through the rift just before it closed. Locklear looked a little puzzled. King Liam and Emperor Ikindar granted the Grey Warriors freedom and new status in the kingdom. Yes, but the agreement doesn't allow for the nationalization of stolen goods. Seem they may have ascended with a valuable ruby from Makala's entourage, said Bedford. Makala, the Serrani Great One? Owen asked. I didn't realize that was Owen. Makala, the Serrani Great One? Owen asked. Belford smiled. Yes, he's been talking to Prince Arutha about establishing a permanent rift to encourage trade between the kingdom of Kellowan. He's really throwing his weight around trying to get his ruby back. If you should happen to come across it, bring it back here. He's offering a reward. They thanked him for his information and left. Alright, we got ourselves a side quest, people. I should probably note that somewhere. I don't have anything open to make notes on. That's not great. Alright. Put it in a text file. For another time. Okay. Find Makala's ruby and bring it to the Lamut garrison. Nice. Alright. Cool. so we have a side quest. That's lovely. Let's check out the shop. Fletcher's Post. I remember this place. This is for archery. We can repair. That's cool. We can probably get our armor repaired, but I don't think we can afford that. Buy and sell. I don't think we're gonna buy anything, but we can take a look at what they got. Calem's Dialectic. Expensive, we can't afford it, but as the book looked and smelled quite new, Gorath turned the onion skin covered title page and discovered a dedication written there. This is a copy of a work scribed in the 3rd year of the reign of King Liam I for brother Foshane, archer and friend. Okay, so probably books, when you read them, they bump your stats up by a certain amount. And I could look up online, but it doesn't matter right now because I don't even have the money for it. The first time you read them, they have 100 uses. The first time a character reads it, they get like 5% or 7.5% or something boost in the associated skill, which is great. And if you have that skill highlighted, it's higher. Uses after that, though, have a very, very low percent chance to increase the skill. So you can continue to read them, but they're a lot less effective. So that is an option later on when we try and cheese the game a little bit to pump up our dudes. That is an option, but it's very tedious and it actually takes up a lot of time. Reading books uses a certain number of hours of the day. So when you read them and you read a whole book, all through 100 uses of it, you really need to keep an eye on your food supply. Here's a scroll, too. These are how you get spells. Scratched out on the scroll in painstakingly lucid detail was the magical spell which had the title Eyes of Ishap. Don't know what that one does. I think it might be for, like, sensing food or something like that. Which is not something that I care about. That's okay. We don't have the money to buy it anyway. Weed walkers, those are cool. If you have them in your inventory, your stealth goes up. All right, that's enough. We don't need anything here. Let's check out the inn. Talk to this fellow. Sumani clapped twice. Abruptly, the festive mood of the room died. The clank of goblets and the scrape of plates falling silent as the bartender shuffled between benches to bow at Locklear's feet, touching a gnarled fist to his forehead and then to his heart. He spoke somberly. Be welcome to the Blue Wheel Inn. May you find the drinks to your liking and the company of our patrons pleasurable. If there is anything our servants or I may do, you need only ask Sumani. Honors to your house as well, Sumani. Am I correct in believing this is a drinking establishment? So it is. We serve many of your Midcamian drinks, as well as a few from the Saraniwani Empire as well. Perhaps I might interest you in a cup of chocha. I don't remember what that is. I know it's not supposed to be chocolate. It could actually be a real word in a language that I don't know. But I remember specifically that it's not hot chocolate because I remember there's a series of books set in this world written by a different author than Raymond Feist, and I don't remember who it was who wrote them. But they follow Mara of the Akoma in Saraniwani. I can't remember what they're called either. Shadow of the Empire, maybe? I don't remember. I guess it doesn't matter. But I remember at one point so those take place like during the Rift War. So they're the two worlds of Midcamia and Saraniwani are kind of getting to know each other. And at one point they bring over chocolate from Midcamia and serve it to some of the nobles in Saraniwani, and their minds are blown because they've never had it in that world before. So I know it's not hot chocolate because they didn't have that in Saraniwani, so that wouldn't be one of their drinks. Anyway, we can ask about Sumani. Let's ask about him. Why did you decide to come to Midcamia and open an inn anyway? Surely you would get better business in Kelawand. I was not always a tavern keeper. As a soldier serving House Shinzawai under Earl Kasumi, I was trapped here when the Rift Gate was collapsed at the end of the Rift War. It was our belief that we would never again see our families in Saraniwani, nor the green skies of Kelawand again. But Serani warriors traditionally kill themselves if they're in danger of falling captive to an enemy. This is true, Lord, but the Earl informed us that we were forbidden to dispatch ourselves until given leave to do so by a great one. I believe in Midcamia you would call such a one a magician. Until such time, I content myself with running the blue wheel in. The great ones are Serani magicians, and they're... They say they're above the law. They wear all black robes. They have their own secret society. And if they order literally anybody in the Empire to do anything, they have to. And everybody just obeys them no matter what. So basically the implication is if a great one were here to give them permission to kill themselves, you know, whatever you want to call it, then they could do it, but obviously one is not going to come because the rift is, I guess, currently closed. But it, you know, it sounds like the implication is no, you guys can make your lives here. You don't have to. We're gonna, you know, we live here now. I think is the implication. Rift gates. I've heard that the permanent rift gate to Kellowan is located near here. Oh, okay, so there is a gate. I was hoping we could get a glimpse of it. There would be little to see at the moment. An internal conflict has arisen in the Empire between House Akoma and House Anasati. That is actually what happens in those books I was just talking about. Neat. The Assembly of Magicians have ordered a temporary interruption of transport between the Empire and the Kingdom of the Isles until such time the conflict is resolved. I have been assured the measure is temporary. Okay, so currently can't get to Seranawani. Kellowan. That's what their world is called. Seranawani is the country. Kellowan is the world. Lovely. Combat. Someday, I promise you, dear viewers, we will get to combat, but probably not this episode. I read slow. You said you were a soldier with the Serani forces. Would you be interested in teaching us some of your combat techniques? It would be my honor, Lord, but I would require a small fee for my services. If my armor were to be damaged, I would be ill prepared to otherwise pay for its repair. If my armor were to be damaged, I would be ill prepared otherwise to pay for its repair. 75 sovereigns should cover any potential harm. Is this fee acceptable? Yes, it is, but we don't have that right now, so we'll have to remember that. There are trainers here and there who can up your skills, and I think this is going to boost our accuracy melee, maybe defense too, I'm not sure. But we can't afford it right now, so... you're asking a bit more than I had in mind. How much can it cost to repair armor? My armor is Serani, and more specifically, it requires someone of the house Shinzawai to repair it. It is the way of my world. Fun note about the Serani and Kellowan in general, they do not have metal. I'm not sure if it's any metal or just like iron and copper and stuff that you would make bronze out of, but their weapons are not made of metal. Oh, okay, sorry. There is a bit, and I think the great houses, they'll have like ancestral weapons, very expensive, used almost like only ceremonially, that are made out of metal just because it is so rare there. And all of their stuff is made out of like hardened like resin, I think basically fiberglass. Basically his armor is made from complex fiberglass, and so only somebody from Seranawani would be able to fix it because they just don't have that technology here in the Kingdom of the Isles, because they have metal and they just use that. It's pretty cool. I think I might be talking on my ass here, but I think that's sort of supposed to be inspired by Japanese forging. I know very little about metallurgy, but I want to say I heard once that the quality of the iron in Japan is not great. Like the stuff that comes out of the ground is not great quality, so they have to work very, very hard to get it workable. I don't know. This is probably nothing. I don't even know why I'm saying it. All right. Let's ask about armor repair. I don't know how much longer our armor is going to last. Any idea where we could get it repaired? If your armor was the same as mine, I would suggest trying the garrison, but kingdom armor is made in a different way. I think it would perhaps the dwarves in Makmardane Kadal would be of assistance. That's just south of here. I understand from speaking to Dubal that the small ones are gifted when it comes to manufacture of weapons and armor. Well, we'll have to check that out. Although I don't think we really want our armor repaired, because we're going to find armor on bad guys. Grey Warriors. We were up at the garrison earlier, and they told us that a group of Grey Warriors stole a pair of rubies. A pair? I thought it was just one. Well, whatever. Are the Grey Warriors some kind of special armed force on Kelowon? Kind of slipped into my Owen voice for a minute there. Special, yes, but not in the way you imagine. The Grey Warriors are men without honor, men whose houses have been destroyed by an opponent house. Such men must live off the land until they die, though I have heard that Mara of the Akoma has accepted many such men into her estate. And that's also happens, yep, in those books I was talking about. The Empire books, I think they're called. One of the big things that Mara does when it kind of follows the fall and rise again of her house under her leadership, the Akoma. And one of the things she does to kind of boost her house's numbers and strength is commits the taboo of giving the Grey Warriors a second chance at... It's not their fault their house died, but basically adopting them into, or bringing them into her house, the Akoma. It's kind of neat. Anyway, yeah, Grey Warriors are houseless warriors and who are kind of shunned by society, but she brought them back in. Cool stuff. She learned that they may be granted freedom if they can reach the kingdom. Many die trying. Okay, so Grey Warriors come here because they can live in a society that doesn't shun them. Cool. Where would such men go once they got here? Away from Lamut, wherever they might go. Though the members of the garrison here are bound by kingdom law, many of the soldiers still live by Sarani custom, as I do. It is not easy to fight our feelings about the Grey Ones. Yeah, there you go. It's just so ingrained in the customs of their country that they just, you know, they're not gonna, they find it difficult to treat them respectfully. Yeah. If indeed these Grey Warriors have stolen rubies, I suggest you seek out a man with a tainted honor. Kiefer Alescook in the town of L'Oreal. Alright, gonna have to remember that name. Kiefer Alescook. Not to be confused with Kiefer Sutherland. Alescook in L'Oreal. Might know more. I guess we'll have to go to L'Oreal next. He has a gem merchant there, out of his home. Oh, okay. Thefts. I get the feeling this ruby theft isn't an isolated incident. You listen to my words. This is the 6th such theft in the past year. Twice gems have been stolen near the Assembly of Magicians from Great One Makala's entourage. Oh, near the Assembly of Magicians from Great One Makala's entourage. That would be no simple feat to accomplish, even for a master thief. Whoever it is that is responsible, he must fear little if he doesn't fear the wrath of a Great One. Yeah, Great Ones are super powerful. So, yeah, that's a brave thief, man. It would take care following this thief, friend. I sense he is very dangerous. I actually have no idea how this thief story resolves. So that'll be interesting. Cool. Well, thanks for chatting, Simani. Love it. Thanks for your services, Simani. You have a wonderful establishment. It's very Sarani. Your patronage honors us. I like this dude's outfit. I can't quite tell what's going on, but it's pretty cool. He's got like a cape, some kind of armor. Yeah, it's sweet. Goodbye. I promise if I'm ever in Lamut again, I'll be sure to drop in for a bit of something to eat. Sweet. Alright, so this is a loot we can bard, but we're not going to yet, because you can bard in every inn once per chapter, and the amount of money that you get, if any, depends on your barding skill. And our barding skill is not very good right now, so we're going to get that up before we go to any of these inns, so that we can maximize the amount of money we get, because money is good in this game, believe it or not. Talk to this guy. The dwarf drew on his pipe. Languid smoke plumed from the old codger's mouth as he studied Lochlear, Owen, and Gareth, each in turn. Although he had long ago lost the use of his left eye to a Moradel sword stroke, his right eye still burned brightly beneath his bushy eyebrows. Being as a dwarf never forgets so much as his own name, I can recognize a strapping young man before me, who I last saw was a boy. I'm not sure I got all his words right, but anyway. This is Dubal on Loch. No slight intended, but I fear I don't recall the occasion. As like the rest of your human kin, none among you can remember much past a week. If not for we canny dwarves, you would have forgotten that you have a kingdom at all. I fetched you out of a cellar along with a score of womenfolk at the Battle of Sethanon. Don't you remember me, Lucky? Locklear would have been like a teenager at that point, during the Rift War, Battle of Sethanon. Dubal, of course! Glad to see you. I hadn't recognized you without the eye patch. Might be Dubal? Not sure. What's a dwarf to do? I won this scratch fair and square, and I'll be a dragon's mother before I'll cover it up again. Shouldn't have done so in the first place. Now I just sit here to jabber with that loon of a Serrani bartender and have me a few beers. Not much to do with the Mac Mordain Cadal all collapsed. A Brack Nur has been seen down there. They'll be offering a hefty reward for its slaying. I'll might you if tradition holds. 2. If tradition holds, too. Okay. Something of a challenge, as they are fierce beasties, even by dwarven standards. Oh, I've heard tales of these creatures of stone. Thank you, Dubal. Dubal. I don't know. Barmaid, we can buy food and liquor, which will get our characters drunk and reduce their stats. And I don't think much else. So we'll skip that, and then we got this guy. Man accepted their company. Owen chatted idly with the rough-looking fellow as Locklear looked on, making certain that in his ebouillant? I've never seen that word in my entire life. It looks French, but I don't think it's pronounced ebouillant in English. Okay, anyway, making certain that his mood, the magician, didn't slip and give away the true purpose of their travels. So where are you headed? The man asked, describing a large arc with his ale cup. Any place interesting? Actually, we're not headed to any specific direction, Locklear intervened. We're wandering, looking for an employer, treasure to watch, caravan to guard. The man snickered. Or a caravan to steal from, eh? Freebooters, then. Well, there's not much going on in the kingdom these days, not in the west. The prince has seen to it his roads are safe and his vassals happy. For the likes of us, he's taken all the fun out of life. Locklear nodded. You're not the first one to say so. Oh, I never read the inn description. Undoubtedly the newest tavern in town, the Blue Wheel was sedate, almost sleepy in comparison with other Lemutian shops. Lemutian town shops? Lemutian shops? That's probably it. Lemutian. Inside, dark-skinned patrons slapped down hard-earned sovereigns in exchange for the Blue Wheel's exclusive imports from their far-distant empire of Serranoani. Cool. Oh! It changed to nighttime. That's pretty cool. I never realized that was an option, to be honest. Love it. Alright, we're gonna go sleep outside because I don't have the money for the inn. And we've done everything we need to in town. So, we will go ahead and sleep the night, use up some of our rations, and I think right there, I'm gonna save it and call it quits. It's been a wonderful first episode, and I will see you all for episode 2. Bye now.